Welcome back to Fold in the Cheese. It is your boy K-Troll on the mic. Today, this Tuesday, we are recapping Week 13 in the NFL, and I am joined today, as always, by the Bulbasaur to my Squirtle.
Squirtle, 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 Squirtle. Bulb. Squirtle, Squirtle, Squirtle.
Ethan Gelfand, what is happening, man? Pokemon.
Yes, Pokemon. I actually have a little Pokemon. So, as you know, I have a lot of little knickknacks on my desk. I love knickknacks. I don't know if you're a knickknack guy. I just love them. So,
Nope.
Nope. So I have a whole.
I do have bobbleheads. We'll get to those in a second. Go ahead.
And by the way, I found my Skip. You see Skip back there?
Right? Oh, nice.
There. Yeah.
Yes, there he is.
I found my Skip.
Skip.
So, hey. Yeah, I don't want to get up, but he's right there. God, why is it so hard in like a kid? I can't figure it out. I also look like E.T.
Well, point like where it is in your house. Just think about that. Yeah, I mean, just be like
there. I did it.
They are.
Did it. Yeah, I was digging through some of my old stuff, and I found like I'm sure you have this in your closet, like a box or a bag of like your old, keepsakes.
Yeah,
or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What's this?" It's all wrapped in newspaper. Skip. That's what I'm talking about. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a few spots where we squirrel things away.
Right.
Well, they're like time capsules, basically. At some point, I'll open it back up and be like, "Oh my god,
look at this!" But the reason why I have these little Pokemon figurines is actually for Addison's, I want to say 3rd birthday, and I think we actually talked about this. This was like the birthday party I spent the most amount of time prepping for, and
this is where you markered the Pokeballs, right?
Painted. Ping pong balls, like at least 200 ping pong balls for 3 kids. Anyway, so these were the ones you were catching, and so I have tons of them left over. So yeah, I love it. I love a little Bulbasaur. It's my little guy.
That's awesome, dude. That's a really cool idea too. Honestly, that's a dad of the year kind of moment.
That's the thing. It was such a great execution, and it's just a bummer that there were only 3 kids there. But the 3 kids loved it.
Tell her to get more friends. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, right.
Life lesson.
Damn 3-year-olds.
Welcome to being like an alpha sig party. It's like the same thing. You do all this work. You do all this work to hang those trash bags on the wall and black the room out
and make it
days and days of preparation.
Less sketchy. It was perfect.
Slightly.
Remember we would actually make like posters to hang in the pit and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had Mojo could draw, and then Eddie would draw, and then Will would draw. Like we had people who could draw, and so like they did some cool posters. I forgot about that, man. That was actually pretty cool.
Just hang them.
I would help hang them. I'd be like, I'm here for the hanging part.
I can do that part. It's perfect.
No artistic talent.
No.
We did some kind of cool stuff, and it went largely unnoticed.
Again, what are you gonna do? Great content. Just needs to get out there. Just needs to.
That's not dissimilar to this podcast. Hey, like and share this podcast.
Like and share.
Give you a friendly reminder. Give us a review. Give it a bump. Let's go. Let more people in on this. So I have getting to my knickknacks. I have got some bobbleheads here. I've got Skip. I showed you. I've got a Deke here as well.
Oh,
he's a little broken. He's got my graduation tassel as well. I've shown you my dad. This is when he retired.
Yep.
They made bobbleheads and gave to everybody.
I like my dad.
He's hanging out there. But because it's Christmas season, I do have one of these I found in my drawer. You would appreciate that.
Well,
it's Uncle Eddie, Cousin Eddie, but it's a Funko or whatever those are called. So
the Pop Funko ones, yeah.
I thought you would like that because you got a bunch of that kind of stuff. And then
the piece de resistance right there.
The piece de resistance, the lost shirt years, Ethan Gelfand.
So what bet did you lose?
I'm a loser.
What bet did you lose that you had to put that on your office desk? I forget what it was. It was a football game, wasn't it?
It was either, I think it was a playoff game. I think it was a Patriots Titans or something like that. Although the Titans beat the Patriots one year, and I sent you the posters the year before that, I think.
Yeah. Did we play in the playoffs that year? We must.
Maybe. Huh. Yeah, must have. Okay. Yeah. It was Patriots Titans, and then I repaid the favor the next year with what I thought was a pretty epic poster. I created it myself.
It was a very nice poster, and Brady's last pass as a Patriot. But who knows? Maybe he's coming back next year.
Is that the idea?
That's what people like. The dark rumors, like maybe Patriots reunion. Why? That'd be the worst idea ever.
Wants to be anywhere near Bill Belichick for the rest of his life. I think he's done with that.
Heck, Mac Jones probably doesn't want to be there anymore just because he's got no offensive coordinator.
True. That's fair. Mac Jones, poor guy. He's now with like the Browns, basically. That's no bueno.
Ugh.
Devoid of talent and coaching on the offensive side.
Oh God, yeah.
But let's get into some of those games. Ramondre is a good player, at least. Thank the Lord for him. Yes. But let's get to some news around the league. We had some interesting things happen this weekend. It had a couple of big-time injuries. Yeah, big time. None bigger than Lamar Jackson, who's the name that everyone's watching right now. Knee injury, probably going to be out for weeks. I mean, this could end your fantasy season with Lamar even, I would say. Like, there's a chance you're out 4 to 6 weeks or so. And at that point, even if he's back for like a playoff run in the NFL, not going to get any fantasy value out of him. So that's big time news.
That is
big time news.
It's crazy because if you remember, Tyler Huntley filled in last year and was really good. Like for the week,
I thought so. Yeah. I thought he was a stud.
He was getting mid 20 points each week fantasy wise, and it was pretty ridiculous with the numbers he was putting up. But kind of real quick, going back to Lamar, it sucks for him just so bad because obviously he put the big gamble he put on himself this year because he wasn't playing on the franchise or, no contract extension. And, the first half of the season, looking like the smartest man in the world because what he was doing, he was playing ungodly. Then it's just kind of been going down a little bit just with no receivers and all that, offense looking terrible. And then to have this, it just sucks. So that's big time for him, not fantasy related wise, but just kind of professionally. That sucks.
He's not, so like I think he's probably going to end up with a contract similar to what he was going to get, though. He's not going to get the big one that he thought.
He's not going to get the massive
bar, but he'll probably get the relatively same offer, I would think.
I don't know, though, because if you think about it, this is what people have been saying and worried about. The type of football he plays, the style he plays at, he puts himself at risk to get hit a lot. And now this is showing, this is now 2 years in a row he's been hurt. Do you make that long-term investment? Do you get that huge contract? I mean, obviously he's a great talent, but I don't know if people are going to be willing to dish out that kind of money for the type of style and how he can get hurt like that. I don't know.
I think it depends. It depends on if you can keep Tyler Huntley or someone like him pretty cheaply, honestly, because he's going to miss a couple games, but that's kind of baked into what you get with him anyway. Like Kyler's the same way. All the runners are probably going to, like Jalen's not that way really, but Fields will probably be that way. Like the guys that run a lot, you're going to get this huge upside, but you're also going to get some injury risk. And so you've got to have a good backup.
True. But Fields is a running back, and they only have a 3-year shelf anyway. So
true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. He's got one more contract in him.
He's got one more.
He is such a monster, by the way, and I love him in all the best ways. So anyway, Tyler Huntley, he'll be on the waiver wire, honestly, later in the show, but I think he would be totally adequate to fill in. There's some other names out there, but they're not great. And
Brock Purdy.
I might just go person for person. So you mentioned Brock Purdy. Jimmy Garropolo was the next big name to fall. Broke his foot, done for the season. This happens to him too. Like for not being a runner, he gets hurt a lot. He gets hurt a lot.
I mean, I love the dude. He's very consistent. You know what you're getting out of him, and the 49ers have benefited from it. Obviously with Trey Lance going down, everyone's bummed. But at the same point, this is why you kept Jimmy Garropolo. And now to see him go down like this, one, it's kind of expected, but two, it does suck because it's just. The 49ers were finally turning the corner. This was the team everyone expected. Obviously, to make the big splash with Christian McCaffrey. And then to see this go down, then their Super Bowl chances just get hit really hard. I know we're probably going to be talking about this pretty soon, but do they look at Baker Mayfield?
That was the question. That's the question I had. Baker Mayfield waived from the Panthers, so he is a free agent, or at least on the waivers for now. I think waivers run through this afternoon, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how you look at what he did this year and have any confidence in him stepping in for you, especially after Brock Purdy looked fine. Like if you want to try and grab him for depth maybe and just be like, in case he works out, great. I'd be asking Christian McCaffrey about him and be like, hey, what do you think about Bake Show?
You were there for
if he lands in San Fran, you know he got a good reference. If he doesn't, CMC was like, no,
pass.
No, thank you. Pass. Hard pass.
So real quick, can name a recent player who has taken a quicker dive or as quick a dive as Baker Mayfield. Number one pick. Everyone was questioning the number one pick. And then he played solid his rookie year. He played pretty well.
He made Cleveland relevant again. He got Cleveland to the playoffs.
Took a little dip his sophomore season, brought him to the playoffs his third, and then holy crap, let's just take a dive. I mean, you had your finger up. You had someone in mind.
Yeah, I got someone in mind. Russell Wilson.
That's true.
He went from ascending Hall of Fame career to worst quarterback in the league. So I don't know how you dip further than that. But
the only thing is he still has the Hall of Fame career. He still won a Super Bowl. But you're right. For the aspirations that the team had for this year, okay, that's very valid. Those two are pretty interlocked, which is sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. And the opposite could be said of someone like a Geno Smith, for instance, right? His resurgence.
So the Seahawks just looking like the most genius people ever.
But they absolutely are. Their pick right now is a top 5 pick with the Broncos. Whoever they get, they have like several picks, like all their picks basically.
They got all the picks for 10 years.
They're looking brilliant. Yeah. I would be putting my chips on them. I'd be putting my chips on the Lions in the future. They've got the Rams pick, is also going to be a top 5 pick. These teams that made these deals, the Eagles have a top 5 pick right now, like insane, just insane.
From the Niners, no.
So whatever.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, the Eagles have a currently a top 5 pick
because they got it from the Niners, who are giving it from the Panthers. No, how's it working?
I don't remember where it's from. I heard it in the news.
I heard it on the interweb in the news.
Fine, I'll look it up. Fine,
you look it up. In the meantime, I'll talk about those Seahawks because Kenneth Walker has an ankle strain, which sucks because he's been playing real well too. It's been great to see him kind of step in to really take that lead back role. And Travis Homer has a knee issue. Like their whole running back room is just kind of banged up. So you really hope it's not too bad. But it's something to definitely keep an eye on, especially since Kenneth Walker has been an RB2 for you guys in all these starting lineups. So Kenneth Walker is someone we're going to be keeping an eye on, keep tabs on. And then your boy on the Titans, he's been playing well. Finally caught a touchdown from Ryan Tannehill, not this week, but Treylon Burks was looking good, but has those vaunted concussion in the protocol, as we like to say, since Tua, everyone's going to be going in the protocol, following the proper procedures. So he's out for a little bit. Did you find the trade yet, or how you got the picks?
I did. It was with the Saints. I'm just trying to figure out who the player was.
The Saints.
Somehow they have the Saints pick this year, and it's a top 5er currently.
That is a top 5er. I love it. Isn't it always crazy if it's like a pick from 10 years ago? It's like finally getting cashed in. It's like, son of a pick. I forgot.
Well, they meant like the article that I read is on NFL.com, and it mentions 23 years ago, Ricky Williams traded, and the Saints traded away all their picks for Ricky Williams. I was like, no way, that's just now coming to fruition. That would be incredible if it was part of the Ricky Williams deal.
That would be awesome.
But, no.
It's like the Mets paying Bobby Bonilla for 50 years, $1 million every year.
Smartest man ever.
Yes. Okay, so top 5 pick from the Saints. We're just going to call it Ricky Williams. We're calling it.
It's the Ricky Williams pick. But anyway, yes, I'm bummed about Treylon Burks. He's probably going to miss. I mean, as we said every time, these guys, I think they're starting to miss a game now whenever they get concussed, and for no other reason than the optics, and the league is really wanting to make sure they're taking care of players after all that Tua stuff happened earlier. So, yeah, he's started to look really good, man. He keeps start, stop. Like every time he gets back on the field, he gets hurt.
He gets off.
Or this happens, or like it's. I really want to see him. Maybe it's just going to be next year. Maybe it's just like a next year kind of thing. True. We'll see what we got. But AJ Brown lit them up, and it was not fun to watch.
Revenge game.
It was not fun to watch. Cortland Sutton day-to-day with a hamstring injury.
Who cares?
He was honestly the only reason I even mentioned him. He's one of maybe 2 people you would ever think of starting on the Denver team, which is Latavius Murray, weirdly, out of the backfield.
Weirdly. He's honestly the top option for the Broncos right now. Like,
probably. And maybe you look at Greg Dulcich if you're like, tight end. They're all the same, but like, yeah, there's nobody else on that team you want to start, and so that's why I mentioned it. Like, it's worth noting. You got to keep an eye on that. Aaron Jones had a shin injury. He left. I think he came back after the half and was playing a little bit, but only touched the ball 2 or 3 times.
Aren't you?
But they're on bye this week.
Aren't you upset you conceded AJ Dillon? Look at that. He's stepping up right now. He's making all these moves.
He had a big game, and he still got smoked by Josh Jacobs. You talked about guys like Lamar, like, guys being the smartest guy in the room. Josh Jacobs is the smartest guy in the room. That guy is making the right move. He held out for the contract, and he played his butt off. So good on him.
He getting paid.
And last note here, Matthew Stafford is thoughts and prayers of Matthew Stafford. He's got like a neck contusion or something. Like his
Chris Carson
spinal cord. Yeah, he's got a spine issue. Like he's done. They're going to put him on the shelf.
He should just be done. End with your Super Bowl. Take that.
We should have ridden off in the sunset. So should have McVay, honestly. He talked about it.
It's crazy for like a 35-year-old coach. I'm out. I'm done. Did everything.
That's what Madden did. Madden was young when he left and went into announcing.
True.
And he just won the Super Bowl, and he's like, cool.
Peace. I did it.
I'm good. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. Been there, done that. So he could have been the next Madden.
Could have had a video game. Everyone's going to be playing McVay 32.
McVay 32. Could have been a thing.
you get the new McVay? Yeah, it does.
Is there anyone in the league that has even remotely close enough personality that they could be the next Madden?
Like coaching wise, player wise,
Yeah.
sure. But coaching wise,
Mike McDaniel's down in Miami is funny.
it's funny, like quirky-ish, but like it would have been a Rex Ryan had he actually had coaching success. You got that Ryan 28, yeah, or it'd just be Rex.
It's possible. It's possible.
But other than that,
not quite like a larger than life personality, but you're right.
I mean, if the Lions are actually any good at some point, give me that Campbell 38.
Campbell 38. That could be pretty good. It'd be really funny if Belichick got into broadcasting and had all this personality that just came out, and he's just like flowing personality, and he's like hilarious and cracking jokes, and we'd be like, "What?" That would be perfect.
I would just love to see Bill Belichick like drunk. I think he'd just be maybe hopefully hilarious, or just like super creepy. Be like,
I think
no
in between. Sad. I think it'd be really sad. I did see there was some throwback video of Randy Moss trying to get Belichick to come to their Halloween party. And like he actually went. It was like at a skating rink. They're like, "Hey, yeah, we're doing this thing. It's like a skating party thing. Like, obviously, love for you to be there." And it was one of the seasons that Randy's there. So like they're winning, and I'm sure Belichick loved Randy Moss because he's like the best receiver he ever had.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "All right, yeah, is it gonna be fun? Yeah, okay, all right, well, might go by." And he showed up, and they showed video of him showing up at the place in costume, and he's got his like date or wife or whoever it is with him in costume. I was like, "Oh my god, there's a human in there, maybe."
Life of the party. Watch out.
Life of the party.
Like Billy B. Love Billy B. And hate him.
All right, hit us with some notable performances from the week.
Who? Oh, do we want to talk about this first one? I know it's kind of stings you a little bit, but those Eagles, man.
It's a boyfriend of mine. It's okay.
It is. It's true. So it's kind of like hedging your bet a little bit. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, 380 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, a rushing. I mean, the dude is playing out of his mind. Definitely an MVP candidate. I don't know. I mean, you've been on board with him all since he came in. So good for you. He has balled out. And so obviously with that, AJ Brown had a huge monster revenge game with 2 touchdowns, 119 yards. And Devontae Smith, man, he had a big touchdown, only 5 catches, but for 102 and a TD. So I mean, dang, if you had any
when
Eagles
this team's rolling, man, you want everybody. I mean, they are dangerous. And when the defense is playing well,
well, that's the thing. I think that's the kicker too. The defense. I mean, they shut down Derrick Henry, and obviously when Treylon Burks went down, didn't have so many weapons for the Titans. But when you can shut down Derrick Henry, that's a big dagger, and that's a tough thing to do. So that defense is playing well.
He's had a rough couple of weeks, honestly.
He has
almost a whole month. Derrick Henry has been slowed, and normally it's like, hey, if Tannehill's not in there, then they put 8 in the box every time. But usually Tannehill is enough of a threat on play action that it loosens things up at least a little bit. But golly, they're just smothering him.
Well, like him and a Saquon are both struggling right now, and those were the 2 guys in the league. And
at least Saquon makes more sense because, like, Daniel Jones ain't going to beat you, and the ghost of Kenny Golladay is not going to come out and beat you. So, no one's really worried about that.
Yeah. I was switching to a huge matchup that everyone was loving to see was the Bengals Chiefs and Joey Burrow. Man, that dude is cold. He is cold. He is legit. He has all the swagger in the world. He's totally earned it. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 45 and a rushing TD. So I mean, he put the team on his back. So that was crazy to watch. Everyone was seeing this game just to see how the Bengals would kind of match up, how they could hang in, and they just outplayed him. I mean, he outgunned Mahomes, and good for the Bengals, man. Maybe they're back. Maybe this was their statement game saying, hey, we had some struggles in the beginning of the year, but now don't sleep on us. Get back on our bandwagon.
Kind of weirdly, they've got the Chiefs number. They've won 3 in a row against the Chiefs.
Right.
And it is kind of crazy. Getting Jamar Chase back is a big difference, man. They've got talent everywhere, but he's in a league of his own, like he's so different. So when you have that option,
that's a great move.
You got T. Higgins, take some coverage off of T. Higgins, take some coverage off of Boyd, who dropped a wide open touchdown. Oh my God, it was so cringy. He was wide open.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's almost like a trick play it sort of thing where it's like he's standing there and just dropped it. Good thing they won. But yeah, Samaje Perine is running his butt off. Dude, he looks really good in there. Honestly, maybe even better than Mixon. I don't, crazy.
Mixon, you know me. I don't like
crazy statement over here. Controversial, but
hot take.
Hot take.
So, Receiver room, though, we had Devontae Adams. I mean, watch out for the Raiders. They're playing sneakily well. That offense is clicking. And I picked him again. Just saying. And so Devontae had 8 for 177 and 2. Another man who had 2 touchdowns was your boy, Amon-Ra, 11 for 114 and 2. I liked it because I had Jared Goff, so that was helpful to me. So those guys were studs. Then Seahawks offense, man. I mean, Geno Smith, he just keeps proving people wrong. Tyler Lockett and DK both had great games. 9 for 128 and 1 for Tyler, and then DK had 8 for 127 and 1. I mean, just feeding
almost identical.
Exactly, right? It's crazy by 1 yard, 1 reception. You just feed your beasts. I don't know why I know we talked about this kind of last week, that DK Metcalf is someone who definitely just has not been in my brain. And again, it's talking about Russell leaving and the Seahawks just, I don't know. I just haven't been paying as much attention to him. This was probably one of the ones where he blew up more. He had about 27 fantasy points. Because otherwise he's kind of just been around that 15 to 16 range each and every game, which is great. You want that consistency. But now to kind of see this one blow up, it's like, okay, maybe this is a sign of things to come. You just give this guy the ball and good things are going to happen. So it's good to see. Good to see. What about some other receivers?
Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, these rookies. I mean, Garrett Wilson is a freak. He's the next. I think he could be that next guy who's like the Chase and Jefferson types. I mean, he is really balling out. He even produced with Zach Wilson some of the games, and with Mike White, who's just chucking it. I mean, it's very similar to Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin, who McLaurin is now showing us that he's a complete stud as well. Yeah. But Mike White will just chuck it, and Garrett Wilson's better than the defenders in most cases, and so he's getting open and scoring. Christian Watson, I'd heard the other day that he had like the fastest recorded speed on any play this season, except for, and this is, I think the fantasy footballers want to give them credit on this, except for Deshaun Jackson when he caught a long ball for the Ravens. And you're like, Deshaun Jackson is 36 or something. I mean, he's still that fast. I mean, it's insane, fast. Right? But Christian Watson is a speedster, dude. He's finding ways to score. He's got like 8 touchdowns last 4 games.
And I was gonna say, he ran one in, so he's yeah. I mean, there's getting the ball in his hands to make a play, and he is. So keep it up.
Yep. Another of my old boyfriends, podcast favorite, Tony Pollard, blowing up, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 90 yards plus in this game, catching the ball. Every time he touches it, you just like, something good could happen.
Yeah.
And honestly, Zeke looks a lot better too. They just have such a different style of running, and so Zeke is looking more healthy. Zeke is he's not done. He's still got some juice. It's just up the middle. And he will plow forward. He gets down in like a rugby stance. Like he has a very unique style of running where he goes head first like a missile, and he's going to get positive yardage. Whereas Tony is get him out in space and he's gone.
Well, this is probably not as much to the extreme, but more like your thunder and lightning kind of thing, where maybe Zeke is now kind of transforming and he's not your 3 down back anymore, which is fine. That doesn't mean he's bad. It's just, if he can accept the role of being the 1 to 2 down back every time with Tony Pollard kind of doing the same kind of thing, that's a great recipe for success. And it's showing that it's working. You can feed them both. It's obviously frustrating for fantasy owners because you don't know who's going to snake whose touchdown, but they're both viable.
In most games, they're both getting it. So who cares?
I mean, when you score 33 points in a quarter, you're going to get some points.
How about Zeke getting a garbage touchdown at the end of the game? I was like,
why is he
you still have him in here? You're up by like 30. What are you doing?
Mike McCarthy, man. He'll just keep everybody in.
Yeah, he's crazy. We talked about Samaje Perine earlier, filling in for Mixon. Looked great. DeAndre Swift finally reclaimed that number 1 running back status maybe in Detroit. Is that what you're hearing? That they're like, okay, this is what we meant by easing him back in?
If I would have told you that the leading touchdown scorer this season is one Jamal Williams, would you have called that? He has 14 rushing touchdowns. So, DeAndre, I mean, I think that's a split backfield right there. I know DeAndre kind of is the lead back right now, but when you got someone like Jamal Williams who is running well this year, you got to play them both. He's got 14 touchdowns. It's kind of like Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson last year. Damian Harris had 17 rushing touchdowns last year. So it's kind of that same concept.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Cam Akers back from the dead.
So mad.
How about that?
I'm so mad.
17 carries. He gets 2 touchdowns.
Because I was setting my lineup on Saturday and I needed a spot because everyone was on my IR and all that. I'm like, damn it. So I was looking for someone to pick up. And I saw Cam Akers, and I was like, you know what? I should just pick up Cam Akers. Just put him in. Henderson's gone, whatever. No, I went with Richie James of the stupid Giants, and that was dumb. And Cam Akers goes and scored 2 touchdowns. So whatever.
Your lineup was hilarious this week. You
Right?
had the weirdest hodgepodge of receivers. It was a mess because you had Hopkins on.
Hopkins was out.
Right?
Hopkins was out, obviously, but Chase was back. But still,
you did have Chase back. Nico Collins,
who did great.
Nico Collins and Richie James in your lineup. I love it.
I picked up Nico when I was playing you when we were talking about Brandon Cooks. I'm like, I'm gonna pick up Nico. I'm gonna pick him up.
I got to be honest, I was gonna go pick him up. I saw you had him. I was like, how does someone already have this guy? He's what a joker. He didn't do great. He got 3 for 35 and a touchdown on 10 targets. I don't know if that's great, but he did score.
He scored. Punt return.
12.5 points.
Punt return. Oh no, that was Donovan. That was Donovan. Never mind.
Yeah, DPJ. Yeah. And then Bam Knight is the other big story in the Jets backfield. He's like, dude, I'm here and I'm ready to roll. Let's go. He's really filled in for that Breece Hall role. They really needed a thumper, and he's that guy, it seems like. I think he's rest of the season totally good to start. I think Michael Carter's going to come back to a third down role again. I think Bam's going to be a thumper, man, between tackles.
Which is just wild. Michael Carter, do you just suck or what? Like,
he can't stay healthy. And you got to know that, though, in the draft. Like, he's clearly a third down back. He's a Gio Bernard, which could be great for him. You just can't give the guy 20 carries, you know? You can't put the ball in his hands that many times, but he's got talent for sure. He didn't play this week, so whatever.
Anyway, Bam Knight.
All
right, man. So those are the updates. Those are the big injury news, the news just in general, and some big time primetime performances. So now it's time to see whether you can match these primetime performances, because it is time for some blind resumes. All right.
Yeah, doubtful I'll be matching those.
Well, and I'm throwing a wrench at you because, since we are
of course you are.
Later on in the season, just doing it for the last 4 games.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
This is totals, not average. This is totals for the last 4 games. So these are all people very similar, same amount of games, very tight in fantasy scoring. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Who you want first?
Quarterback. Let's go.
Quarterback A, 1,100 passing yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 10 rush yards. Quarterback A. Quarterback B, 1,003 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 189 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah. I don't even really want to venture a guess because
it's tough. It's
so hard in 4 games in particular. But the assumption here is obviously they've played 4 games, so it's 250 yards a game. That's not bad.
Yep.
For both these guys. But I'll take the rushing upside. I'll take the rushing upside of 189 and a touchdown.
So you want quarterback B?
You know me.
Okay, you do love the rusher. So quarterback A actually has more points by I think 3 or 5-ish points. Quarterback A, your favorite, Derek Carr.
Oh. Glad I passed.
Glad you passed, because you got the number 1 drafted quarterback overall, Josh Allen.
Okay. Wow. Probably not quite as many yards as anyone would expect in that case. I guess maybe it's like comparatively, you wouldn't think so. The touchdowns are way low too. Yep. 6 touchdowns in 4 games is un-Josh Allen-like.
He's been quiet relatively quiet the past 4 games. So
I would say so. 6 touchdowns in 4 games. That is pretty quiet. And 3 picks too is also a little uncharacteristic as of late. I think that's more like rookie Josh Allen was just chucking it. But
true.
I don't know. 3 picks in 4 games.
You're sticking with him though. You'll take him. You'll take Josh Allen over the long run.
I would absolutely still take Josh Allen over Derek Carr.
Running backs to wide receiver.
Running backs.
Running back A, 49 attempts for 194 yards, 1 touchdown, 18 targets for 14 catches, 136 yards, and trace touchdowns.
Wow.
So that is running back 1. Running back 2, 49 attempts, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 29 targets for 23 receptions, 203 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Wow. Very similar usage. Are these both they've played 4 games, or is it just over the last 4 games they may have played 3 games? You're not going to tell me.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Well, either way, I mean, I think.
Well, it's the last 4 games.
Yeah, so, but would it cover a bye week if they had a bye? Like, would it just be 3 games?
Maybe.
We don't know. Yeah. So even if it's 3 games, you got 16 carries a game. That's a good workload. If it's 4 games, 12 carries a game, that's a split backfield. So I'm going to go with the guy with more targets by a million. I'm going to go with running back B there, but I'm not chasing touchdowns.
Running back B, who you chose, was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, give me them targets.
Yep,
let's go.
He played 4 games. So the guy you passed on has only played 3 games in the last 4. Has more points. Samaje Perine.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Jeez, he's been blowing up, man.
Yes, he has. He had 30 points, 19 points, and 25 in his last 3 games.
So I had a feeling you'd try and trick me.
I was trying to trick you. All right.
Okay. Those targets are pretty money, and I think with Brock Purdy there, I think you're going to see pretty consistent targets for McCaffrey.
Yep. All right, wide receiver A, 28 targets, 17 catches, 334 yards, 1 touchdown. Wide receiver B, 27 targets, 18 receptions, 232 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Okay. So if it's 4 games, you're looking at 7 targets
per game. These are both 4 games.
Yeah. Okay. 7 targets per game. You're getting 4 receptions per game. 4 for 85 and a touchdown. Or 4 for, 232 is not that much, but 60. It's like 60 yards, but almost touchdown every game. 4 for 60 and a touchdown. 4 for 85 and an occasional touchdown. I don't like either one of them. This low volume. I guess I'm going to go with the guy with the. Jeez. I guess I'll go with the yardage. A little more predictable. I guess I'll go with the yardage here. 334. Wide receiver A.
Well, similar to your Tennessee Titans, you passed on one A.J. Brown. You have passed.
Woof.
Yep. And you have selected the giant stud himself, Darius Slayton.
Oh, my gosh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Slayton he had a nice run there. Three games in a row that were pretty good. Then he just fell off the map. So A.J. Brown has averaging 4 catches for 60 yards a game the last 3 games.
They both
played 4 games.
They both played 4 games. Darius Slayton has 56.4 points. A.J. Brown has 56.2. Prior to this last game, A.J. Brown has 1.7 points, 9 points, 12 points, and 32 points.
Yeah.
So, pretty
bad.
Yardage was 7 yards, 60 yards, 46 yards, and then 120 last game.
Yeah. You wouldn't think of him as being that boom bust, because he's had some pretty big booms this year, but he has been a little inconsistent. Obviously,
that's classic AJ Brown. He did that in Tennessee.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we all thought that was a product of the offense and not so much him, but maybe it's him too. I don't know. If he finds the right kind of matchup, he can absolutely dominate, and otherwise, maybe he's a decoy or kept in check. I don't know.
True. So you got a lineup of Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, and Darius Slayton. Not terrible.
Darius Slayton. That's the one you're laughing at. But honestly, part of the reason we do this too is not just to trash on players who should be doing well, but also to highlight guys. This is where Hunter Renfrow last year kept coming in.
Yep.
It's to highlight other players who are actually doing pretty well. And so Darius Slayton was a guy, at least for 3 of the 4 weeks.
And
if you started him, you were stoked.
And this is a great lead in. That's why it's important to play the waiver wire. If a guy is hot, you ride him while he's hot, and then you can dump him. You're not going to feel bad about it later. So that's why it's important to pay attention to these trends, see how guys are playing, and play the waiver wire well. Waiver wire well. So speaking of, why don't we talk about a little couple waiver wires? Why don't we?
Let's do that. Let's do it, shall we? We mentioned Tyler Huntley early on. If you've got Lamar Jackson, you want a 1-for-1 swap there. He's like Lamar light. I think you'll still get some good performances out of him. He should be solid. I really do feel good about that. And the quarterbacks are getting pretty thin. So I'd probably go that route if you can. But I think the running backs are what we're going to look at first here. What do you think about Cam Akers? What do you think?
I almost picked him up last week and I should have. So honestly, he's a very viable target. I don't see why he wouldn't. Starting running back, offense is struggling anyway. They're going to try and run through him a little bit. So why not?
Offense looked a lot more, at least competent with Walford under center.
It was surprising. They were winning at one point.
They were winning at one point. That was first time in probably 6 games.
Yeah.
So I guess Kyron Williams then is like, can't start him until you see something from him, right? I mean, I was excited for him to come back from injury. I thought he was going to be a stud. I know that Adam Schefter was real big on him preseason. I guess he was getting a lot of buzz in the camp.
Classic.
Even when he's healthy now, Cam, who was in the doghouse, is now the number 1. So whatever there. All right, how about James Cook? I think we kind of forgot about him a little bit, but he played Thursday night. But he got the majority of the workload for the Buffalo backfield. It seemed like he may be taking over the 1 spot.
It certainly seems like that. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, he was quiet and like everyone's hype about James Cook. Same kind of idea as this hype man that he can go out catch passes and he can kind of be a little surprise wild card. And now they were really, as you said, kind of running it through him, which was surprising because Devin Singletary had played pretty decently. So the fact that they kind of made the switch to James Cook, I'd be a little more hesitant on him just because that it's not like there's a reason why he was getting it above Singletary. Maybe they're just kind of testing it out depending on the game and the matchup. But I mean, it's worth a look, but I would be a little more hesitant on James Cook than like a Cam Akers, which is odd because obviously James Cook is on a much better offense.
Yeah, and Cam Akers was a guy you hated pretty much forever, and understandably so. I don't know. I don't know if I trust that either, honestly. It could be like hey, let's see what we've got out of this kid and see if we can lean on him, or if it was like we've wanted to slowly get him involved and now it's time. I don't know for sure which one of those it is. Maybe it was Belichick doesn't have much tape on him, so let's get him out there more. I don't know. Right. It could be mind game. But I agree. I also think, though, like at this point, you've got to kind of chase that upside. And if you're looking for a running back that you're like, I need somebody, this late in the game, then I'd probably go with Cook, over Singletary for sure.
True.
If somebody dropped A.J. Dillon, keep an eye on this. They're on bye this week, so not anything to really pay too much attention to just yet. But if he's floating around out there, it might be worth a stash because Aaron Jones, we mentioned, hurt his shin, came back in the game, wasn't really used that much. Hopefully we'll be fine after the bye week, but in case he's not, it's getting cold. It'll qualify.
I was just gonna say it's getting cold. You know what Kemper says about AJ Dillon.
Woo! You know what I say about AJ Dillon when it's cold. They like to hurt people with him. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna do a victory lap on him because I was so wrong for so long. But if you like AJ Dillon, go for it.
Do it.
If you're in quarterback trouble, some guys that might be on your waiver wire, Derek Carr, you mentioned, who is better than Josh Allen. He's available.
Wish you had taken him. I've been like, yes, vindication, Derek Carr.
He's available in a bunch of leagues. He's playing the Rams this week, who just got lit up by Geno and DK and Lockett. So
he's a good stream play, man. He's a solid streamer.
Yeah, Tannehill, who just lost his top option, but seems to get it done either way. He's got Jacksonville, who just got lit up by Goff and the Lions. He could be a decent option. Mac Jones is going to be in a dome. He's got Arizona. Could be a decent option. Mike White, who I would love to recommend. He's got Buffalo this week, man. I don't know. I don't feel great about that, obviously.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Kenny Pickett, still just hanging around, putting up 15 points every week.
Yeah, boy.
He's still growing, still learning, but you could do worse.
You could.
I don't know. How do you feel about Brock Purdy? I didn't get to watch any of that game, so he was Mr. Irrelevant, which would be crazy if he made it like a Super Bowl. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. How do I feel about him? I ain't touching him fantasy-wise just until...
Yeah. He's got weapons, though, man. You got to give him credit for that. He's got weapons.
I mean, Jimmy was doing fine. It's not like he was lighting the fantasy world up on fire anyway, and it's not like Brock Purdy is going to be taking it even further. I think they'll be a little conservative with him, especially when you got a Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. But, I mean, you'll probably see, as you said, as we talked about with Christian McCaffrey, a lot more usage of him and a lot more usage of Kittle. Just kind of those dump offs, those safety valves kind of thing. So,
but I think, too, though, that McCaffrey could get more dump offs with him than he did with Garropolo.
Oh, yeah.
But a dump off for McCaffrey is also passing yardage for Purdy.
45 yards. That's true. It is. It's
so, I mean, like in theory, you're less handoffs to McCaffrey and more passing to him is a good thing for McCaffrey and Purdy. Anyway, I agree. I don't think you're going to see much more than what you saw at Garropolo. Right. Of course, every time anybody gets an opportunity, the potential radar goes off in your head and you're just like, oh my God, what if Brock Purdy lights it on fire?
For all you trading card enthusiasts, they're saying, just give me all the autographed Brock Purdys you got. I want them all right now.
Give them all right now.
Okay, easy.
You're going to flip them in a week. Okay, fine.
All right.
But
So
anyway,
what do you think we do a little do it bet board update? So as we recall, it was getting kind of thin because you conceded running back. I conceded wide receiver only again because it was injury. That's the only reason why.
Of course, yeah, just because of the injury. Yeah,
just because of injury. So we were focusing on the quarterback position, obviously between Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence. But we had an interesting blind resume lineup last week, and actually Trevor Lawrence was in there. But I decided, let's keep our quarterbacks because we've been following them all year. We got to keep them. And besides, I feel like Justin Herbert's probably a little upgrade over Jared Goff.
Slight.
Anyway, I thought, why don't we put in the running back and the wide receivers?
Look at this.
Okay. So I picked Dalvin Cook in the blind resume to Tony Pollard. And then I also picked DK Metcalf to Brandon Ayuk. So I figured let's just track them. I know, but this was also prior to the Jimmy G injury. So you might be a little annoyed with that. So, but as we're building up Brock Purdy, could be awesome. So let's just quickly look at the quarterback real quick. So Jared Goff had a good game against those Jags. It was fun that they were actually going against each other. So he was able to gain 8 points on Trevor right there. So we got 26.6, bringing his total to basically 230. Trevor had a decent, not great, but fine game. He had 18 points. So bringing his total to 242. So it's only 12 or 13 points right now. So it's great.
This is a good one.
You want to see. That's what you
This
love.
is a Matt Ryan, Justin Fields good one. This is a good one. Going to come down to the wire.
All right. So now looking at Dalvin, Tony Pollard. But again, since Dalvin's on my team now, he's just going to go. So he had a decent game, got me 16.6 points. But of course, Tony Pollard had a great game, 24.6. So
even better. Yeah.
Great start.
Pollard is good.
But old 12-pack abs DK had a great game, 27.7. And Brandon was quiet with 9.6. So
I know.
If you want to change the receivers, heck, I'll let you change it to AJ Brown and Darius Slayton if you want.
Out on that. I'm out on that. We may have to come up with a different one for the receivers, but I would have been more game to try it out had it not been for the injury. I am concerned. Now, if Brock Purdy and he have good chemistry and it works out and he has if he can get above 10 points next week, then maybe I'll just say, let's just keep riding it. I'm not going to be completely unreasonable. It's just I'm very concerned that connection alone was a Garropolo thing, and that could be gone. Debo should be fine. McCaffrey should be fine. Kittle should be fine. Ayuk could be the one that suffers with this change, but we'll see.
I'll give you a week to evaluate it. I'm totally on board with that, especially because this was just a blind resume anyway. So I just thought they were good matchups.
True.
So there it is. So speaking of our do it bet of the week from last week, I mean, it was a barn burner. Once again, we knew it was going to be the high octane one that everyone was clamoring for. It's like, oh my gosh, finally they're doing one.
Finally, kickers.
That involves kickers. So just as a reminder, we drafted 4 kickers to see who would have the longest made field goal of the week.
Field goal. Yeah.
The best part is one of Kemper's kickers didn't even attempt or didn't even get a field goal. That was the best part. So then
I don't think that's the best part, actually.
I know it's not actually. It's not the best part. So then I had 2 kickers to his 1. I was like, okay, let's go. So then I saw he had Harrison Butker. I was like, okay, what's he got? 26-yarder. I have this in the bag.
That is nearly the shortest field goal you can kick.
Literally, it's shorter than an extra point. So I was like, okay, perfect. Justin Tucker, NFL record holder. Let's go. Lamar goes down. He gets me. What does he get me?
A 26-yarder.
Like, are you kidding me? So I was like, all right. I still got Ryan Suckup going on Monday night. The Saints are a tough defense. They'll be kicking a little bit. So the Bucks came back to win on 2 Brady late touchdowns. There was 1 field goal kicked. How long was that field goal, Kemp?
I just looked it up while we were talking. 21 yards. It was even shorter. Did you even know that? Did you know that before this?
I did.
Yeah, 21 yards. I did not even know that. I forgot to check. I knew it was coming down to last night. And
so
this is the shittiest bet of all time.
I don't know.
We had one kicker who didn't even make a field goal. We had 2 kickers, 2 of the best in the entire league.
Yeah.
Hit a 26-yard field goal. And the hammer on Monday night, 21 yards.
21 yards. So, but again, it went down to the wire. That's what you love to see. I think this rivals week 2 of last season when we did rookie wide receivers. You remember that? And you had Devontae Smith and I had Jamar Chase. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, like those are two pretty big names. That's no. Devontae Smith had like 2 catches for 15 yards. Jamar Chase only had 2 catches for maybe 40 yards.
Yeah, so, he had 1 catch for like 12 yards going into the end of the game, and then he caught like a 50-yard touchdown. I was like, no. This is worse. This is much worse, in my opinion. This is far and away the worst we've ever done, and we should have known it, and we joked that it would be terrible, and it was every bit as bad as we thought it would be.
I loved it.
I saw Harrison Butker during that Chiefs game lined up for like a 62-yarder, and I was like, oh, yeah. And he didn't have the leg for it. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
But that's what I love. You just got hyped up because you saw, ooh, we might attempt a 62-yarder.
Let's go. Bet. Gonna win this right here. What?
What? So, yes, unfortunately, our kicking do it bet ended in a tie. It's okay.
Unbelievable.
We'll come up with a new one on Thursday, and it's going to be
we cannot do worse. So we promise to do better.
Punting average. How many touchbacks can they get? Or how close can you pin someone? Ooh, I like
literally anything would be better than this garbage.
I like where this is going. So anyway, talked about some injuries, some news updates. We talked about some notable performances, and of course the waiver wire. Kemper has quite the wide receiver in his blind resume. Just a banner day. Week 13 recap. So next episode, we'll be talking about week 14. See how those new injuries come in, see how the players are going to do, and we'll make our picks and pick'em picks. What's with all the like triple P's, triple B's, or I don't remember the other
alliterations are all the rage, man.
Right now. Anyway, so until next time, keep on folding.
Fold it.